Welcome to the Hawthorne Judy Center training on conscious discipline, I Love You Rituals. I'm Christina Haley Class, a social emotional learning teacher here at Hawthorne Elementary School. Today I'm here to talk about what I Love You rituals are, why they're beneficial, and how I Love You rituals can be used as an important tool to promote connection with your child. Some of the other benefits include strengthening relationships and bonds, promoting development and learning, and improving willingness and self-regulation. Two special guests are here today, Miss Keisha Griffin and her daughter Kyra. They'll be joining me during this training. Mrs. Griffin is a parent and teacher assistant here within our Hawthorne School family. She was introduced to conscious discipline and I Love You rituals right here at school. She then took them to her house to use them with her own family. She's joining us here to share her experience using these rituals and routines with her family. Her daughter will be joining us later as well in the training, so please stay tuned to hear Miss Griffin's story. First, let's talk about what I Love You rituals are. You'll notice by the visual that Dr. Becky Bailey has created another conscious discipline resource for caregivers. This text includes many fun rhymes and poems that create connections between people. These social connections lead to neural connections or healthy pathways in the brain. In fact, brain research shows us that as we interact with our children, we are literally building their brains, and we do this when we interact with them using these rhymes and poems. Now, you might ask yourself, what does that mean for the development of our children? Let's dig a little bit deeper to find out. As we explore I Love You Rituals, the book, and the available materials, remember that these resources can be found on the Conscious Discipline website at www.consciousdiscipline.com. And some of these resources are also available to you by the Hawthorne Judy Center. Please make sure to complete the survey at the end of this training or contact the Hawthorne Judy Center for more information. Now I'd like to explain why using I Love You rituals can have such a positive impact on our children's brains and their development. You'll notice on the front cover many benefits of I Love You rituals. They're listed right on the cover. We find that there's a boost in brain potential, encouraged cooperation and caring. It promotes learning and literacy, increased attention and decreased power struggles, and finally, building bonds of unconditional love. Let's take a look at each of these in a little more depth. Now, let's explore how I Love You rituals can boost brain potential. We know that when individuals participate in these interactions, it causes the brain to signal the release of feel-good chemicals like serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphins. These are also called happy hormones. These naturally occurring chemicals and hormones produce positive feelings like pleasure, happiness, and even love. When serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin, as well as endorphins, flood the brain, it also changes the brain state to an executive learning state, which we also know as an optimal learning state. When our children are in an optimal learning state, they are more open to learning and better retain information. Now, let's take a look at how I Love You rituals support our children's willingness to cooperate and how it increases the caring of others. It's clear that the interaction itself strengthens the bond between the people interacting together. When your child is connected to you, your child is more willing to comply and honestly more helpful. And over time, it strengthens the feelings of trust and safety, which explains the final benefit. I love you rituals build bonds of unconditional love between you and your child. Another thing is that I love you rituals strengthen the wiring in your child's brain while promoting learning, feelings of self-worth, and the ability to interact more positively with others in general. When children feel good about themselves and the adults in their lives, the relationship teaches empathy and sets the child up for increased cooperation and compliance. This is how I love you rituals help children more readily cooperate and care about others, as well as developing unconditional bonds and love. We already discussed how I love you rituals help your child reach that optimal learning state, and that they're more open to new information. Now let's explore how the poems themselves promote learning and literacy. These poems expose your child to vocabulary, rhyming words, and fluency. First, these poems expose your child to new vocabulary. And in fact, the number of new words that your child hears directly relates to IQ. These poems include many words that we don't normally use in conversation, such as tough it. Exposing your child to these words and talking about them can increase your child's IQ score. Next, these poems expose your child to rhyming words. Rhyming words help your child to recognize patterns in words and sounds. This is critical in learning how to read. Finally, these poems promote models of fluency. There's a natural rhythm and flow when we speak. Your child learns to anticipate the natural rhythm and the pattern of language. Fluent readers don't read letters, they read words. As readers progress, they don't read individual words, they read phrases and sentences. The rhythm and flow carry the conversation. Each of these are important pre-literacy skills that prime your child's brain for developing listening, speaking, and reading skills. So in essence, I love you rituals help your child learn to listen, speak, and read. Now let's discuss how I love you rituals support your child's ability to increase his or her attention span and decrease power struggles with you. First, as your child has opportunities to practice I love you rituals, the brain is practicing sustaining attention. Your playful attention helps your child play for longer periods of time. This brain building creates new pathways and primes your child's brain to increase her or his attention. Power struggles with your child will decrease as well when you practice I love you rituals. We know that being in an optimal brain state, as discussed in the 5 Steps to Calm training, is the path to problem solving. Feeling connected to others creates a willingness to comply and a desire to help others. When your child is ready to problem solve and feels connected with you, problems are much easier to solve together. You experience a decreased opposition and fewer power struggles from your child. Now that we understand the benefits of I love you rituals, let's discuss how we can use them in your home. I love you rituals help you to create connection. First, let's preview the 4 elements of connection. Number 1, eye contact. 2, presence. 3, touch. And 4, playfulness. First is eye contact. This is important because of something called mirror neurons. Our brain is wired for socialization and to imitate or copy what we see. Mirror neurons are connections in our brain that cause us to yawn when we see someone else yawn. That it also causes us to copy what other people are feeling so that when we see either happiness or distress, we feel that feeling. We can actually pass our loving feelings to our child as we look at them directly in the eyes. Next is presence. Presence is when we are intentional with our focus. We are intentionally focused on our children so that they know that they are important enough to deserve undivided attention. In this busy, technologically driven world that we live in, it can be difficult to unplug and spend time focused on one another without distractions. But this individual focus and presence is required of all of us. Only by giving our children undivided presence can we truly connect with them. Your attention is critical in helping your child to develop sustained attention for longer periods of time. Next is touch. Touch is something that all humans need. It provides a sense of calm, safety, and helps us to focus our attention. When gentle touch is paired with your undivided presence, your child will be tuned into you. Your eye contact, your presence, along with your gentle touch in a playful way, that wires your child's brain for self-control and willingness. Now that we know the importance of eye contact, presence, touch, and playfulness in making connections, let's talk about how you implement I love you rituals with your child. In preparation, the first thing we do, choose one of the I love you rituals, games, or activities to do with your child. Next, embrace the feeling of awkwardness and being uncomfortable at first. It's really okay. Then, read over and figure out what the words and actions are that are associated with that poem. You may want to watch some of the videos to easily learn the poems. Next, practice the poem's words and actions so that you are fairly confident in what you're doing. And then find a moment that you can give your child your undivided attention and call your child to come play with you. Now that you know and understand the steps of implementing I love you rituals with your child, let's watch Miss Keisha Griffin and her daughter Kyra play an I love you ritual game.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, what a wonderful child you are. With bright eyes and rosy cheeks, a talented person from your head to your feet. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, what a wonderful child you are.
Now that we've seen the video, let's talk about how there are many times of the day that provide great opportunities for I love you rituals. Here's just a few. Wake up time and bedtime, transitions to and from school or the bus, before and after meal times, or any other leaving or returning from a trip, other hello, goodbye times, especially life-changing times like birthdays, losing a tooth, gaining a new tooth, growing in, graduating, even the birth of a new sibling. These are all wonderful opportunities, and most of all, during any family time, healing time, or other times spent together, that you have time to use that undivided attention to connect with your child. The key is intentional interactions to build connection, as well as building feelings of love and safety. Let's look back at the previous training, 5 Steps to Calm, for step 4. In the 5 steps to calm is I choose. Now, during step 4, your child uses a way to help regulate his emotions to get calm. Your child can actually choose an I love you ritual for step 4. During this step, I love you rituals help co-regulate your child You use connection, eye contact, presence, loving touch in that playfulness to help your child regulate and manage his feelings. Remember that when we participate in these activities with our children, our brains go into a higher brain state as well. This helps us as adults to be inherently more calm, patient, and understanding. When we are connected, our children can be connected. You are building connections not only with your children, but also teaching your child how to relate to others in the world, build healthy relationships, and care about others. Number 2, I love you rituals build your child's brain. Help your child develop positive self-worth, develop literacy skills, increase attention span, improves their willingness and connection, and decrease power struggles. When I love you rituals are implemented with your child, make sure you're intentional. Use eye contact, presence, touch, playfulness. When you are learning a new poem, practice that poem with your child until you both really know it. Take your time. Develop a routine. Find the best time for you and your child to play together. Make this a special time for you and your child. It will change both your life and your child's life. Listen now to how Miss Keisha Griffin and her daughter had their lives transformed.
Hello, my name is Keisha Griffin, and I'm here to tell you about how I Love You rituals have changed my life. When I grew up, I thought that discipline and power was how I should correct my child. Power struggles happened a lot in my house. When I came to Hawthorne, I learned about conscious discipline and learned a different way to discipline my child. It changed my life and my relationship with my children. I Love You rituals are an important part of my relationship with my children. They have become a vital part to our bedtime routine. When my daughter is getting ready for bed, we do an I Love You ritual every night. What I really like about this bedtime routine is it improves any mood my child has and has changed my child for the better. If it was a hard day after we played, she was calmer and ready to let go of the day. My youngest daughter, Kyra, was a horrible sleeper. She didn't sleep throughout the night and often ended up in my bed. These bedtime routines help her not only get out of my bed, but help her sleep throughout the night. These routines help her feel safe and secure in her own bed and help her sleep. My favorite bedtime ritual is Twinkle Twinkle. It involves being present in the moment, eye contact, touch, and a playfulness that I love. Kyra's a snuggle bunny, so she enjoys our special time together and being gently and playfully touched before bed. It have changed our life. Overall, they work for us, and I hope they will work for you.
So in closing, I want to leave you with some final suggestions on how to use I Love You rituals as part of you and your child's routine. Practice will help make I Love You rituals part of your routine. Practice when you're willing to provide your undivided attention, the activities are brief, and the connection with your child will prove to be a long-lasting investment. Practice during times of the day that make the most sense for your family and your schedule. Remember also to integrate those 4 elements: eye contact, touch, presence, and playfulness. And one more thing to think about, playing those games and the I Love You ritual with your child will build bonds, help your child's brain grow. And one last final thought, allow time for you and your child to feel less awkward and grow into being intentionally silly and playful with each other. Give yourself grace and remember that it takes 4 to 6 weeks to make a new routine and a habit. So honestly, just have fun with it and enjoy the process. We wish you well as you go on this journey with your child learning to use I love you rituals to build a deeper connection with your child. The Judy Center wants to support you in your journey. We offer tools to use at home to implement the I love you rituals presented here. Please click on the link in the description of the video and take the Judy Center survey about this training, or contact the Judy Center after viewing this training. Leave your contact information for the Hawthorne Judy Center so that we can provide these tools for you to use at home. If you would like more information, please contact the Hawthorne Judy Center. You can call the Judy Center at 667-251-5837 or email us at hesjudycenter@bcps.org. We hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much for your time and joining.